One of the great hallmarks of a free society is the idea that justice is blind, that simply the facts matter, the preponderance of evidence, who you are, where you come from, your gender, your race, none of that matters. We're just going to look at the facts, the logos of what's happened. Well, something has changed in America now. We are no longer a place where that is the case. There is a certain presumption of guilt for one group of people and another presumption of innocence for another. And that's going to start to have some very real, appreciable effects, here in the near future. Now, that type of a topic, of course, because this is YouTube, we can't talk about. Because when we start to reveal these people, they get their nose bent out of shape. However, we do have a partner over at Vimeo and Patreon that will allow us to speak freely and show in reality how this is happening right in front of everybody's nose, but they're using subtle psychological operations, tricks to keep you from seeing it. They're doing it right in front of you. If I were to point out those specifics here, my channel would be done tomorrow. And truly, this is what I do for a living. It's not what it used to be many years ago, believe me. It is very, very difficult. It is very hard work. Earlier today, about an hour or two, we put up a brand new Patreon video alluding to this. We're going to do this in probably 2 or 3 parts. And we're going to show step by step how one group of people in America now has a written presumption of guilt, and another brand new group of people has an automatic assumption of innocence. And there's no way around it, and they're trying to hide it from you. And many of us have fallen into this trap. It's an easy one to fall into. We would love to have you join us, if you can, over at Patreon to engage in an adult conversation, not one meant for children, not one meant not to hurt feelings, one meant to hurt the truth, to reveal the truth without worrying about hurting anyone's feelings. We didn't necessarily worry about that in this country for most of my adult life. But now it seems that if anything you say can be construed as possibly hurting someone's feelings, you can't say it. Not in public. We would love to have you over there. $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. 0 risk. Fully refundable up to 90 days. If you spend your $1 a month for 3 straight months and you realize, this just isn't for me. It's just too much, Maki. I can't take it. $3 right back at you. No problem. We will leave it there. Today's video, we're going to start with, of course, the big story. There are now 5 different areas in the Atlantic and in the Gulf, in the Caribbean, that are now seeming as if they are going to be a threat. That, of course, we know all about Hurricane Fiona heading north, but there are also 4 others. This is, of course, trackthetropics.com, just like it sounds, trackthetropics.com. Tropical Depression 9, Hurricane Fiona, Tropical Storm Gaston, Investigation Area 99L, and then watching one other area of interest. Now they have all these laid out perfectly nice so that you can see where they all are. Tropical Depression 9 is the one that might actually give Florida some problems. The tracking of this takes it right through the Caribbean Sea up over Cuba, and it looks like it may slam into the Fort Myers, Naples area. But, of course, we should probably start with the big one. Hurricane Fiona, this is way up heading for Canada, and basically, my opinion, being what it is, it's just God finally getting around to punishing Canada for Nickelback. That's pretty much all that's going to come of this. But Tropical Depression 9 could be an issue. I believe BP Earthwatch was already talking about this, that perhaps it might be a category, it might be a hurricane by the time it reaches Florida. I've looked at all the models and the timing. It's still a pretty wide cone. I mean, this could hit all the way from the Yucatan and possibly Mississippi, Alabama, and they're saying it also could go all the way over here and could possibly hit the Bahamas. So this far out, they just don't know. But we've had a pretty good season so far. We haven't had any major storms. We have had a lot of rain, though, here in North Florida. You would think it would have been a much more active hurricane season than what it's been. We've had storms. We've had some really good lightning storms and some good thunder and wind, and the water table is already pretty high. So it's very strange. We just haven't had any major storms. Nothing really big. So this is the GO satellite. I guess nothing super important to report on all this yet, but I just wanted to let everyone know if it does become an issue. I will, of course, keep you updated from right here in Florida. I'm not down on the southwest coast or anything, but you just, like I said, never know where these things are going to hit. But another interesting story, and I'll give you the link to this, is a good starter, a good refresher in PSYOPs. If you want to just start in at the ground level of PSYOPs and look at something that says the exact opposite of what it means. For example, this is from ScienceAlert.com. Experiment reveals what 1 hour in nature does to the human brain. Now, what should the title really be? Experiment reveals what 23 hours in an artificially created environment does to the human brain. See, the story is about they took these people that lived in cities and were all stressed out, and they sent one person on a nice walk through the city to see if it relaxed them, and they sent another person into our natural environment, mankind's natural environment, the one created for us, for 1 hour to see what the effect would be. And they're trying to make you believe that the effect is what happened on the walk in the woods. The effect is what happens when you're not walking in the woods, when you are absent from your natural environment. Our natural environment is what? The planet. These people keep saying, these scientist types, we need to save the planet, save our environment. Our environment is trees and forests and rocks and streams and birds singing and the wind blowing, and that's our environment. That's what we should be in. The experiment is cities. Now, listen to how they write this. This is how blind they are to their own inability to see the truth. Human history has unfolded largely in bucolic settings, with sprawling savannas and forested river valleys hosting our ancestors for millions of years. By comparison, cities represent a radical new kind of habitat, a false habitat, a fake habitat. It's not even really a habitat because you can't live here without things that are grown in the wild, i.e. food. One that, despite its many perks, often strains our mental health. Research has linked urban environments, false, fake, unhealthy environments, with increased risks for anxiety, depression, and other mental health problems, including schizophrenia. Now, here, just in the first two paragraphs, they give you the cure. They give you the cure for anxiety, depression, mental health problems, and schizophrenia. Get the hell out of the cities. Get the hell out of the urban areas. You see, that's the experiment. See, for them, the quote-unquote, the experiment was the time in nature, when the real experiment, the big experiment, is people flooding into the cities and trying to live in cities. That's the real experiment. No wonder the human body reacts in so many thousands of horrible ways. Crime and poverty and like they show here, PTSD, depression, mental health problems. You see, their solution is just visiting wilderness. Not living in the country, no. Forget that. Especially in the modern era with the whole work from home thing. Home can be anywhere. Visiting wilderness, even briefly, is associated with an array of mental and physical health benefits, or a return to the normal way we're supposed to be living. See, they see it as a benefit. It's not a benefit. It's just a lack of punishment. A lack of punishing your body by putting it into a horrible environment like that is not necessarily a benefit. Including, they say, lower blood pressure. We could say, including a return to normal blood pressure. Reduced anxiety and depression. A complete elimination of mental states that you're not supposed to be in. Improved mood, or normal mood, maybe. They say better focus. How about normal focus? See, every time they say better, just put in the word normal, because you're normally supposed to be here. You see, this is psyops. Outside in nature and living amongst nature is not an experiment. The experiment is the city, the office, the cubicle, the apartment building. That's the experiment. PsyOps 101. I'll give you this link and you can read the whole story. And you can see how silly it is when you look at it from the proper perspective. We weren't created in cities. We absolutely were not created in cities. They're an invention of mankind, an incredibly unhealthy one. This is the kind of stuff that we teach over Patreon. When you sit around and you talk and discuss things like adults, over a long enough period of time, you start to see the world a different way. You start to see it the way that it really is, and it bothers some people because it shatters a lot of illusions. We've been recently shattering one about marriage and adultery and what that all means. Just by opening up the Bible and reading what it says and then looking in real life at what people actually do. The exchange of rings and the white dress and the booking of the churches and the flowers and the bridesmaids and the licenses and the blood tests and all that. None of that's in the Bible, but people love to say, oh, I have this biblical marriage. When none of what they did, none of their whole Roman ritual, none of it's in the Bible, but they want to say they have a biblical marriage. It's absolutely hilarious. But that's just another topic as well. Scientists think that it's an experiment to go walk in the woods. That's an experiment to go be part of nature. Not the great experiment of living in the cities. But anyway, God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe. Join us if you can over Patreon. It's $1 US. If you sign up for an entire year at one time, it's 90 cents per month. You'd sign up now, it'd be, you wouldn't have to think about that $10 or $11 again for a whole year. And believe me, the new perspective, understanding PsyOps will open up a brand new world. We'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.